The main pieces of the final rule that was just posted on public display today and will be published tomorrow are really, segmented into 5 buckets. And so the first bucket is milk composition factors, and we made some adjustments to those to reflect changes that have occurred in the components within milk. The next bucket that we looked at was, of course, what products are surveyed to be incorporated into the price formulas that are used. And in that bucket, what we did was we dropped the barrel cheese price. Based on all of the input from the industry, we determined that that was probably the best route to go with that, so that the cheddar cheese price is reflecting what the block market is doing. Then we looked at, of course, the make allowances, which was the really key factor that brought the beginning of this hearing together. And we looked at all the data that was put in and we made adjustments to that. We didn't, the final output doesn't reflect what any one party put forward, but was really an analysis on all of the data and the information that we had. We also then looked at what the mover was, and there's a lot of angst within the industry regarding that Class 1 mover. And so after analyzing it, what we did then was adopted the higher of, which was what we had in place before 2018 Farm Bill. We went to the higher of for HTST milk, and then we put in a unique provision for extended shelf life milk. When the 2018 Farm Bill moved to the average of plus 74 cents, part of that was based on the fact that there was a need to provide some ability for processors to use risk management. And through the testimony that was submitted, what we discovered is that extended shelf life processors were truly using some risk management tools. So we put in a special provision for those extended shelf life products. And then finally, we looked at the Class 1 differentials, and we made adjustments across the country on those Class 1 differentials since they had not been updated since 2000. So again, all of the changes were based on input that we received from the industry, which was really key to the program. We had a lot of input from the industry. This is a producer-driven program. It's a very transparent program. And the changes that are made come at the request of the industry. They can come at the request of both processors and producers. And when they come forward with changes, then they need to provide the data and the information for USDA to analyze and look at those, look at that information and determine what changes should actually be made. And, once we get the data, then we can analyze and make those changes happen. If the industry doesn't participate, then we can't make changes because, again, it has to be based on the record of the proceeding. So we were delighted. The hearing lasted 49 days, which was the longest hearing we've had for federal milk orders. And, we had over 165 witnesses participate. 65 of them were dairy farmers, which was really dynamic to have happen. We allowed producers for the first time to participate virtually via Zoom, and I think that was really helpful in getting that participation in there. Once the hearing concluded, and that provided us over 12,000 pages, 511 exhibits, lots and lots of data, then we put together a recommended decision. We issued that recommended decision the beginning of July, and once again allowed the industry the opportunity, as I like to say, to tell USDA what we did right and what we missed and what we need to rethink about, kind of re-argue what your position is. And we got on 128 comments from that. About half of them, again, were from dairy farmers, and really pointing out things that people wanted us to look at. And based on those comments that came in on the recommended decision, we did make a few adjustments to the final decision, which was what the producers just voted on during the month of December. And we are, delighted to have the final rule out. All of the orders did approve what was contained in the final decision, and I think that is attributable to the fact that there was so much industry participation in the process, and importantly, a lot of producer participation in the process. What we have happening now is the final rule, as I mentioned, is published tomorrow, January 17th, and the effective date of this decision is June 1st for all aspects of it, with the exception of the milk composition. And milk composition will be effective on December 1st. The reason that the June 1st and the December 1st dates were selected, again, is based on industry input. The industry is at a stage where they're using a lot of risk management tools, and the industry requested USDA to consider that and to reflect that in implementation so that there would be time for industry participants to make some adjustments to those risk management tools that they're using. So we listened to them and we put in the implementation dates accordingly. So next steps is the industry can adjust. They know what is coming with the changes in the federal order pricing formulas, and they can begin to do their planning and move forward in 2025.